Good morning, students. Today I will describe the second part of the chapter Lost Spring by Anis Jam. So, as I have already started the second part, so today I will try to finish it. I want to drive a car. Mukesh insists on being his own master. I will be a motor mechanic, he announces. Do you know anything about cars? I ask. I will learn to drive a car, he answers, looking straight into my eyes. His dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets that fill his town Firozabad, famous for its bangles. So, the writer once meets a boy named Mukesh. So the boy lives in Firozabad and belongs to a family of bangle makers. Mukesh says that he does not want to go to his family profession, and his family profession is to become a bangle maker. So he does not want to go into the profession. He has decided to become a motor mechanic. So now let me read the second part of the first para. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. It is the center of India's glass blowing industry, where families have spent generations working around furnaces, welding glass, making bangles for all the women in the land, it seems. So here the author says that every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. So it is the center of India's glass blowing industry. So Firozabad is regarded as the center of India's glass blowing industry. Families here have spent generations in making bangles. So most of the people in this particular area are engaged in the profession of bangle making. Mukesh family is among them. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces with high temperatures in dingy cells without air and light, that the law, if enforced, would get him and all those to pay 20,000 children out of the hot furnaces where they slog their daylight hours, often losing the brightness of their eyes. Mukesh's eyes beam as the volunteers to take me home, which he proudly says is being rebuilt. So here the author wants to say that about 20,000 children work in the glass furnaces of Firozabad. They have to work in very unhealthy conditions. Their parents do not know that they are sending their child to the dingy cells to work to earn, but they are very much unknowing of the fact that it is illegal to make children work in such places. So we walked down stinging lanes chalked with garbage, past homes that remain hovels with crumbling walls, wobbly doors, no windows, crowded hovels, crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. He stops at the door of one such house, bangs a wobbly iron door with his foot and pushes it open. So here the author says that Mukesh offers to take the writer to his home. He proudly says that their house is being rebuilt, means what? Reconstructed. So when the writer goes there, he finds that it is a half-built house. That is, construction was taking place, reconstruction was taking. So inside there are everywhere signs of poverty. That is, each and everything that is there in that particular house highlights that the condition of the family is very pathetic. They are under the signs of poverty. So what happened? On the ground in a we enter a half-built shack. In one part of it, thatched with dead grass, is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. On the ground, in large aluminium platters, are more chopped vegetables. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family. Through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. She is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother, not much older in years. She has begun to command respect as the bohu, the daughter-in-law of the house. So, in this particular para, the writer says that one day the writer goes there as wished by Mukesh. So, she finds that it is a half-built shack. Half-built shack means half-built house that is going to be reconstructed once again. So when she entered that particular house, she finds that there are signs of poverty. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal. That is, she is cooking a woman who is cooking the evening meal. And who is she? She is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. Mukesh's father is also there. That is, Mukesh's father is also present there in the room. He has been doing hard labor. That is, he is working hard for the family. He is working hard to earn for their livelihood. First, he was a tailor, and then he was a bangle maker. That is, first he had chosen the profession of tailor, and then a bangle maker. So, though he tried to reconstruct the house for a long period of time, but he was unable. So he has failed to renovate his house. He could not send his two sons to the school. He could only teach them the art of bangle making. So it is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. Can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies. Born in the cust of, these lines are very, very important. Put these words within bracket. Born in the cust of bangle makers, they have even seen nothing but bangles in the house, in the yard, in every other house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, pettigrain, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the 7 colors of the rainbow, lie in mounds in unkempt yards, are piled on 4-wheel handcrafts. So the author wants to say that that as she goes to that particular house, she finds that poverty is their destination. So when she enters that particular house, she finds that Mukesh's grandmother was sitting in this particular house and was saying that it was all their destiny. That is, her husband has gone blind with the dust from polishing the glass bangles. She says that they were born in the caste of bangle makers and have seen nothing but bangles in their life. That the main important thing is that they have only chosen the profession of bangle making. None of them have chosen any other profession other than bangle making. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. Thus, they lose their eyesight even before they become adult. So, most of the children spend their times in the dark hutment, in dingy cells, without any ventilation and all. The room is also very dark. So, as they have to spend a long period of time working in that particular dingy cell, so their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. Savita, see the last line of this stanza. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside, as I have mentioned right now. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. Please underline these last 2 lines of this particular para. Very important for your exam. So next para. Savita, a young girl in a drab pink dress, sits alongside an elderly woman soldering pieces of glass. As her hands move mechanically like the tongues of a machine, I wonder if she knows that the sanctity of the bangle she helps make. It symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in marriage. So here the writer, as she enters the room, as she enters that particular house, she finds that a girl named Savita is sitting over that particular house. So what she is doing, she is sitting with an elderly woman and soldering pieces of glass. Soldering means collecting the pieces of glass, or collecting the pieces of glass and then reordering the pieces of glass. Though she is doing, or she is busy in doing all such things, she does not know that the bangles she is making are symbols of Indian woman's suhag. The old woman sitting beside her still has bangles in her wrist, but there is no light in her eyes. That is, she is making bangles for other person, but she does not have any light in her eyes. That is, she is not usually happy. She is not at all happy, though she is busy in making the bangles, but she is very much depressed. She is very much disappointed. Why she is very much disappointed? Because she knows the condition of her life. She knows the poverty that is lying in their family. So now the next para. Listening to them, I see two distinct worlds. One of the family caught in a web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. The other is a vicious circle of the shahukars, the middlemen, the policemen, and keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politicians. So please put these lines within bracket. Very, very important. So the writer says that as the people of that particular area, or the people of that area, that is Firozabad, is under the cry of poverty. Cry of poverty means what? They are threatened by poverty. That is, they have to spend their days and days again and again under the grip of poverty. That is, there is no hope that they will be able to shine in life in future. They will be able to earn more. That is, their condition will improve one day. That is no such sign in their home. Poverty is the main theme of this particular chapter, as it has been mentioned in the previous part of Sahib. Here there also Sahib is life is under poverty. So here in this particular part of the second part of this particular story, the second part is also filled up with the poverty, with the life of Mukesh that he is leading, and the life that he is leading is under poverty. So here the writer says that the cry of poverty is prevalent, is very much prominent in every home in Firozabad. That is, these people who are very poor are exploited by the policemen, middlemen, and bureaucrats, and the politicians as well. They have come, they here refers to whom? That is the people of Firozabad. They have come to accept their poverty and exploitation in something natural. It is their natural. They have accepted it naturally, that we have to spend our life under poverty. We have to spend our life under the shahukars, under the policemen, under the grip of middlemen, and so on and so forth. So the last part of this particular para, see the last line. Do you also dream of flying a plane? He is suddenly silent. No, he says, staring at the ground. So now who is putting the question to whom? That is, the author Anis Jung is putting the question to the same boy whose name is Mukesh. So what she is saying? She is saying that, do you dream of flying a plane? That is, do you want to fly a plane? He is suddenly silent. So who is silent? that is the boy, the poor boy, Mukesh, is silent. Now the question is, why he is silent? No, he says. The answer given by him is no, he says, staring at the ground. So the answer is, that is no, I don't want to fly a plane. Why? The answer is abruptly given by the boy named Mukesh. So he says that no, the very word no, the very negativity, the negative answer that has been given by the boy highlights that no, he says, staring at the ground. That is, he knows the condition of his life. That is, he won't be able to come out of the grip that he is lying under, and that is the grip of poverty. So he does not dream of such kind of dreams. That is, he does not have any such type of dream in his life. He never dreams of this kind of dream. In his small murmur, there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. He is content to dream of cars that he sees hurtling down the streets of his town. So what is his dream? His dream is to become a motor mechanic, and also that he also says that I will learn to drive a car. See the first few lines of this particular part. I will learn to drive a car means what? That is, he never insists that he wants to purchase a car, but his dream is to drive a car. There is lot of difference between purchasing a car and to drive a car. So here the writer feels happy that Mukesh has decided to choose other profession and has decided to break away from this particular profession of his family. He has decided to go to the garage and learn the job of motor mechanic. Thus, the author assumes that one day the poor boy who is under the grip of poverty will be able to come out of that particular phase of his life, particular period of his life, and will be able to be the master of his own life. That is, one day he will be his own master. So this particular part, last line, thus he will one day be his own master, resembles to that of Shahib's character. That is, he is also happy with his own life. That is, as he was working, or as he was working in a tea stall, he used to get 800 rupees per month, but he is not happy. While he used to earn rupees 8 rupees or 10 rupees, so at that time he was very much happy. Now the question is, why he was very much happy at that time? Because he was the master of his own life. He never has to work under anyone's order. He is the master of his own life. So here also this particular line resembles to that of Shahib's character. Thus he will one day be his own master. That is, this particular line, I will learn to drive a car. That is, he wants to drive a car, and also he will be a motor mechanic. That is, he has decided to choose his profession rather than his family's profession. So these are the two aspects of this particular chapter. One is, first part deals with Shahib's character, and the second part deals with Mukesh's character. And the two things that lies common between the two character is of poverty. Both of the boys had to spend their life under the grip of poverty.